Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back. Thanks for sharing your morning with us. I'm Ken Malagier in for Jeremy Grunin. You are listening to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, streaming live at WOBMAM.com, 1160 and 1310 on your radio AM dial, and on the Radio Pup app at 1160 News Talk Radio. We are broadcasting from the beautiful Town Square Media Tower in downtown Toms River, and you can join our conversation at 732-505-1160. Whether she was serving the people at her restaurant or delivering sandwiches out of her car to Sandy victims, Patricia Pat Donaghue has always been feeding people. Originally on track to become a lawyer at Seton Hall University, Pat faced many challenges in life, from a sudden divorce of her parents to financial and health challenges in her own immediate family, which drove her to find a way to help those who found themselves in similar situations, facing similar and unexpected life challenges. Pat finished her education at St. Peter's University and hopes to redefine the perception of food insecurity in America by highlighting the stories of the People's Pantry clients in order to adequately depict the diversity of their struggles. I'm very pleased that this and more brings Pat into our studio today. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning.
Please tell our listeners, what is the difference between poverty and food insecurity?
Food insecurity is not knowing if you'll have enough food to make it until payday. Poverty is something completely different. Poverty is 24/7, 365. Food insecurity is those families who, at the end of the month, are eating cereal for dinner. The children are having cereal for dinner or a hot dog from Exxon. That's the difference. That's the main difference, is not knowing if you have enough food in your refrigerator to feed your family.
Wow. And to bridge that gap, you have a new facility called the Beat Center. Tell us a little bit more about the Beat Center, and some of our listeners may have heard about the Soul Kitchen and some different things that are going on, and what is new there at the People's Pantry?
That's we're now located for the first time in our existence, our almost 4-year existence. We've got a permanent home. Prior to the Beat Center being built and opened, we had moved 6 times. The Beat Center is a beautiful facility that houses the People's Pantry, the JBJ Soul Kitchen, and the Food Bank of Monmouth and Ocean County, where the Food Bank they do emergency distribution to other small pantries, but most importantly, they've got a culinary school for people who are at the poverty level, where they can go. It's a 13-week course, and it's free. And they've got an 85% success rate in placing people in jobs.
Wow.
That's the big thing. We're 3 independent, freestanding nonprofits. So we all are, we work together. We collaborate very well. We all are running multiple programs, including client services, from everything from food stamps, which is SNAP, to resume writing, to interview skills, to computer skills. And
all of that is being done at the Beat Center.
At the Beat Center.
That is tremendous.
It's as I've always said, it's a game changer for a lot of people.
Sure. What a resource in our community. And that is located where in Toms River, Pat?
1769 Hooper Avenue.
Excellent. So that's just before, what is that cross street by the CVS, right?
Polhemus?
Yes.
Silver Bay
and Polhemus, yeah. Excellent. So, and you guys are on the northbound side. So if someone does need that help, or are you always looking for volunteers, Pat? How does someone get in touch with the People's Pantry?
They can reach us via email at info@thepeoplespantry.org, or they can call the Beat Center directly. And that the number there is 732-731-1400. And they can be patched in through the switchboard into the pantry or into Soul Kitchen or into the food bank, because all 3 of us are volunteer-based organizations.
So with so many organizations in not only in our community but around the broader community of our nation, why do you feel food insecurity is still a problem in the United States?
It's because people are still so unstable. Rutgers just did
A study.
a study.
Sure.
Thank you. It's early. 57% of Americans are not prepared for a $400 emergency. That's astounding. And what people usually are doing is putting it on credit cards and then playing catch up. So that is why I just don't. Hours have been, especially in our area in Ocean County, our hours have been cut. Businesses have failed. Since then, this is going back. I can't say that this is just Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
This is going back since 2008.
Sure, but the impetus for this organization was in fact Sandy.
Yes, we are.
Started as a Sandy recovery
absolutely
group.
What, unbeknownst to me, what I did was I started what's known as a MARC Center, Multi-Agency Resource Center. I was able to get a 20,000 square foot storefront,
Sure.
and I invited everyone in who was doing work in Sandy, from volunteer coordination to grants.
Wow.
And we then
And now from that created
this.
Excellent. Well, this is wonderful to have you with us this morning, Pat. We're going to have much more with Pat Donaghue from the People's Pantry when we're back after this short break.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Ken Malagier in for Jeremy Grunin, joined in the studio with Pat Donaghue from the People's Pantry. Pat has been doing tremendous work in our community for quite a while, but most recently for the last 4 years with the People's Pantry, an organization that was started after, of course, and during the devastation that was wrought on our area by Hurricane Sandy, and has now grown to be an organization that serves a tremendous amount of people in our community. Pat, how many families or people do you feel that you're serving in our community on a monthly or quarterly scale, or is there a number that you put on that?
Yeah, monthly we are currently feeding between 4,000 and 5,000 Ocean County residents.
Wow. 4,000 and 5,000 residents of Ocean County that need this help. And of course, for those that may not have heard of the People's Pantry per se yet, this may be for some of our listeners the first time, you're not alone in that service.
No.
So if you multiply all of the agencies and organizations that do the work that you do in trying to solve this issue of food insecurity and hunger in our area, the need is outstanding.
It's stymieing. And when you think about it, and these are people who are in our community. These are people whose children sit next to ours in school. And
so, by and large, would you classify this as the working poor, or
you know what? Absolutely, we're in the process of putting our numbers together, and we do this every 6 months or so. Currently, we've got just shy of 4,000 surnames in our database. And of them, only 12% come to the pantry monthly.
Wow.
The rest of them come once every 3 months.
When they feel that their need is at a tipping point that they can't go anywhere else.
Right.
But their need is probably more systemic than that. It's
absolutely.
not. You can't possibly only be hungry every 3 months.
Absolutely. It's to get them. They get to a point financially where they need to come in order to make their mortgage.
So how do we break that cycle? What education do we need to be sure that people receive? How do we solve this?
First, I think we have to eliminate the stigma, because this is not, when you speak about food insecurity, people conjure up visions of inner city or not a beautiful area like Ocean County. But we are a solid blue-collar middle-class community, and they are hurting. Our neighbors are hurting, and we've got to remove the stigma from it.
Right.
And that was the beautiful part of Sandy. If one thing came out of Sandy in my life, it was people allowed themselves to ask for help that may have been suffering before. Because in the very beginning, we were just Sandy related. And it got to the point where when people were coming in and they were saying, but I need food, but I didn't get affected by Sandy, it became apparent that there was a greater need. Mm-hmm. And it was at that point I narrowed my focus and my organization's focus to deal strictly with food insecurity.
And forgive my ignorance, Pat, is there a litmus test for need, or do those that are in need just show up?
Well, for those who are in need, they show up. They go through an intake process, and
there is, okay.
And I think once they break that barrier by coming through the front door, they'll tell you anything you ask. Mm-hmm. I don't ask a whole lot of questions.
I would imagine not, right?
Right, because actually, the name of our nonprofit is Inspire NJ, and that's an acronym for individuals needing support provided in a respectful environment. So it's not about them proving they need. It's about fulfilling their need. And it's not Wegmans. Mm-hmm. So, right. It's not Wegmans. And when only 12% of our database come in monthly, and a third of them are seniors over the age of 65, then we're dealing with an 8% group of people who are coming in monthly. And that's probably the secular hunger issue. Right. Where they grew up in the system and continue. But for the most part, these people come in quarterly just for a little help.
And you mentioned briefly in the last segment, Pat, that your fear or concern was that this issue was potentially going to get worse.
Absolutely.
What are some of the caution flags that you're seeing?
It's the cost of living in the area, the lack of employment in the area. As soon as we come off the summer seasonal employment, my numbers go right through the roof. We're seeing 10 to 15 new families a day. So in a week's time, we're looking at 75 to 80 new families coming in to register in July.
Right.
And this is supposed to be our slow season.
Right.
For food distribution.
So that's certainly a warning flag if I've ever heard of one. Right. And of course, if you are in the position to help, please visit thepeoplespantry.org. There are tremendous opportunities for you to serve as a volunteer as well as to donate your treasure. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with more from Pat Donaghue from the People's Pantry after this short break.
The news is next. Live from the WOBM Newsroom, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Connect with Jeremy, 732-505-1160. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Ken Malagier in for our friend Jeremy Grunin. You are listening to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, streaming live at WOBMAM.com, 1160 and 1310 on your radio AM dial and on the Radio Pup app at 1160 News Talk Radio, broadcasting from the beautiful Town Square Media Tower in downtown Toms River. Please join our conversation at 732-505-1160. Whether she was serving people at her restaurant or delivering sandwiches out of a car to Sandy victims, Patricia Pat Donaghue has always been feeding people. And of course, this and more and the People's Pantry bring Pat into our studio this morning. And Pat, we're speaking on the many partners and organizations that your organization works with. Who are some of those people and organizations that our listening audience may be familiar with, that you work with?
Well, of course, my partners at the Beat Center, the JBJ Soul Foundation and the Food Bank of Monmouth and Ocean County. But we also work very closely with United Way and the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group, and countless churches.
Sure.
And there's 131 pantries and soup kitchens in Ocean County.
That are on the front lines every day.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of them are once a week, but we're trying to get them to open up more.
Right. I know that through through our Daybreak group in Kiwanis that I'm involved with, we go to the Hope Center on Tuesdays and unload, and I know that a lot of that food does come from the food bank and then through the your pantry.
Right.
And the need is outstanding that we can unload pallets full of food, and when we come back, it's gone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every Wednesday I get my delivery from the food bank, and that's between 12 and 15,000 pounds. And then every day we pick up retail. Mm-hmm. At the end of the year, we collect and distribute 1.8 million pounds of food, and we're one pantry.
Wow. And if you've never seen, for our listeners, 15,000 pounds of food, it is literally wooden pallets stacked 6 feet tall next to each other. Right. That's what 15,000 pounds of food looks like, and that's an every Wednesday delivery. Right.
And there's about 9 to 12 pallets,
sure,
depending on what
and
we
they're
order.
stacked next to each other. Right.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to allow our listening audience to get a visual of this.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It is. And just that ability to load and unload, and the volunteers that are needed, and the helpers, it is something to serve that many people that often is something that requires a huge commitment. Pat, color in a little bit more for our listeners the Soul Kitchen. I think there's some confusion about what it is. How does one attend or dine there?
The Soul Kitchen, they have no prices on the menu. Mm-hmm. Everything is a donation. The recommended donation is $10 a person. They ask you to pay it forward for the next person. If you're in need, you volunteer for an hour and you receive a voucher for 5 meals. So it's a beautiful thing. A family of 5 can go to dinner for free if you volunteer an hour in the kitchen, if you're in need and you volunteer.
And those that are dining don't know.
No, you don't know, and that speaks to what I was saying before. The people who are in need in our community are the same people who sit on the benches next to us as we watch our children play Little League. Mm-hmm. You don't know who's in need, and you don't see it at Soul Kitchen either. You can't tell who it is.
That's beautiful. No one knows if that family is there because they've decided to take an opportunity to pay it forward and dine there and then make sure someone else can too, or because they are a family who are in need.
Absolutely.
Breaking down that barrier, which as you said in the first half hour, that it's that barrier to help.
Absolutely.
That we need to break down, that stigma.
Without a doubt.
In order to make some progress here on this issue. What are some of your goals or visions for the food pantry and the People's Pantry, going forward?
Just to be able to continue what we're doing and to bring more education forward regarding food insecurity. But there's a part of the pantry that's very close to my heart. I do a work-study program for the high-functioning special needs high school students, and I'd like to see that grow. 2 of the kids that were in it this past school year are now working at the pantry. So to give them a little bit more skills before they enter the true workforce. Mm-hmm. So that I'd like to see grow because that's important.
So there are a handful of paid positions at the pantry.
Well, the students that are getting paid right now are in the PIC program for the special needs student. Right. So I'm not paying them. I'm too busy trying to raise money for everything else. I wish I could.
But through that program, they're able to be compensated.
Absolutely.
For their service,
Absolutely.
which is a great foray, as you said, into the more traditional workforce.
Absolutely.
We should call it. I
Absolutely.
Imagine. And Pat, what are some of your hopes for our broader community?
I'm not originally from Ocean County. I'm not originally from Toms River. And I saw since 20 years ago, people here are great. Mm-hmm. And I saw it grow even more through Sandy. And I wish the rest of the world knew exactly what the Jersey Shore really was. because these people are the strongest, most resilient people.
Mm-hmm. And 4 years on, we often forget about not only the heroism of the time when our first responders were helping each other, but when we were helping each other hand in hand. And I think that it is so important reading the headlines of today.
Absolutely.
To remember
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. That's, turn off the news and go love your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable. These people are incredible. And every day, that's what gets me out of bed. Is these people who I saw people up on each other's roofs, hammering down tarps. Now I see them carpooling to get to the pantry to get food. So it's people just really care. And
they do. And we're going to be back with more from people who care after this short break.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Connect with Jeremy, 732-505-1160. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Good morning, and thank you for sharing your morning with us. I'm Ken Malagier, in for our friend Jeremy Grunin. With us in the studio this morning is Pat Donaghue, and whether she was serving people at her restaurant or delivering sandwiches out of her car to Sandy victims, Patricia Pat Donaghue has always been feeding people. Originally on track to become a lawyer at Seton Hall University, Pat faced many challenges in life, from a sudden divorce of her parents to financial and health challenges in her own immediate family, driving her to find a way to help those who found themselves in similar situations facing similar and unexpected life challenges. Pat, it has been a true pleasure to have you with us this morning. And we've been speaking on all things People's Pantry and Soul Kitchen. And, of course, Bon Jovi's not there all the time.
No, he's not all the time.
He's not always back making the pork chops.
No.
So if you want a seat at the JBJ, just know that there's no guarantee that John Bon Jovi will be there.
Exactly.
But you may be.
I usually am.
So that's worth the price of admission right there. And we were just chatting during the break that there's a Sunday brunch at the Soul Kitchen.
Yes, there is, and it's wonderful, and it's really the only place I know of in the area that you can go and get it's actually a gourmet brunch.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. Sign us up.
Absolutely.
Is it traditional brunch hours, 10 to 1? Or
I think it's 11 to 1:30.
11 to 1:30. Okay,
right.
Great.
So it's a beautiful thing.
Excellent. So check that out. Are reservations required?
No. It's first come, first served.
Okay.
Get there early enough for dinner, and you usually can. Sometimes the wait is like 20, 30 minutes, but usually everyone gets in.
Excellent. And we do have a caller on the line joining our conversation this morning with Pat and I. And good morning.
Good morning, if it's me. Anyway, I wish something could be done with convenience stores, who knows how many other places that have nice food out for a couple of hours and then they throw it away. You can't even buy it at a reduced rate for raccoons. It just goes to the garbage. And whether I've heard of places that pick up restaurant food and dehydrate it or do something to it so they can save perfectly good, decent food that is just 2 hours old. You would keep something in your own home for longer than 2 hours, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas?
Actually, there is it's called Food Rescue. There's a company out of Tennessee that we deal with, and all of the Wawas are connected to it. And you're absolutely right. Wawa's protocol is that they keep those sandwiches out for 1 hour, and then they have to pull them. But what they do is they pull them and they put them in the freezer. And when
they started doing that?
Yes. Yeah,
I'm thinking of my Wawa because that's where I've seen them go in the garbage.
Right. Which Wawa is it? I'm sure if you spoke to the manager, he would be able to get into the program.
Okay, this is in Howell.
Oh, absolutely. It probably throws out.
We'll check with them again because I can't tell you exactly when I last saw them being dumped in the garbage. And I know I've asked them before, can I even take it for the birds? I mean, can I do anything with it?
Right. Yeah, it's a complicated process, but they have to be complete frozen solid before I can pick them up, and I have to distribute them frozen. So it's all about food safety. But
well, I understand there are
right.
issues, but
you're absolutely right, though.
That in your own home, you wouldn't be so wasteful as that. And
absolutely.
It makes me cringe. All right. Well, I could find out, though, the name of this company, or I could talk to you if I'm finding places around here that might be encouraged to join up with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can contact me at 732-731-1400.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all your good work.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Well, we appreciate that call, and we appreciate anyone joining the conversation at 732-505-1160 on this beautiful Monday morning. So that was a really great point that the caller brings up, is that there is a tremendous amount of need in our community, and unfortunately, there is waste.
Absolutely.
And we can resolve both of those issues if we're able to ensure that safely that food gets to those that need to consume it.
Absolutely.
So really, thank you, Pat, for joining us this morning, spending your morning with us. To
My
reach
pleasure.
Pat and her amazing team, visit them at thepeoplespantry.org. And is there a phone number, Pat, that you'd like to give out to our listeners?
732-731-1400.
1400. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your morning with us. I'm Ken Malagier, in for Jeremy Grunin. We'll be back after this short break.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.